r/ask Reddit. Contrary to popular belief, what's not a bad thing? Giving up. Sometimes giving up is the best thing you can do. Gotta know when to hold M and when to fold M. Know when to walk away, know when to run. Not knowing something. It's not shameful to admit it. Okay, but I was 17 and didn't know pepperoni was a meat edit, since people won't stop asking. I just never thought about it before. Did you think it was a pepper? Somebody who changes their beliefs. Similarly, changing your mind opinion about something, political or otherwise. Even if you don't entirely change your opinion, it's healthy to frequently challenge your viewpoints. Listening to other perspectives is good, too. Even if they don't contradict your opinion, they can make you consider something you hadn't before. Saying no when someone asks you to do something that they're entirely capable of doing. Ugh. My neighbor just called me to come fix her guest bed. She has a house full of relatives from California in, and I really don't feel like exposing myself to whatever might be in that house. Plus, why can't one of them fix the damn bed? I said I was busy, but I might be able to do it later. I'm on the fence about this. Follow up. Thanks for all the comments. I ended up telling my neighbor that I wasn't feeling too great and that I'd hate to bring something over to her and her guests. I asked for more information about the bed. It is apparently sagging in the middle. I told her to get her nephew to put a block of some kind underneath the bed and to let me know if that doesn't fix the problem. Don't do it. Breakups. Sometimes it's better to end things instead of trying to hold a failing relationship together. Edit. Thanks for all the great replies to my simple comment, as well as the awards. I got broken up with by my first real GF on New Year's, and all these comments have helped me see that life will move on and I'm not alone. May we all have better luck this year. In my divorce group there was a saying, there are plenty of failed marriages where the parties are still together. I got divorced years ago. I can't imagine this last year if we were forced to be in the same house with no break due to COVID. I sometimes hear my neighbors having screaming fights and I realize there are worse things than being alone. Failure. Good decisions come from experience, but experience comes from bad decisions. This is life, so never regret, learn from mistakes and go ahead. Shania Mark Twain edit. Author of quote added. Thanks. I've never regretted something I did. All my regrets are things I didn't do. I'd rather do and fall on my face than not do and wonder forever. The stigma behind talking about your pay with fellow co-workers. In the States it is legal. By talking about your wages you help ensure you and company workers are being paid fairly. Edit. I made an oopsie. I think it was understood, but what I mean is, you should talk about your wages. At my old job, a manager for another site who was visiting my location tried to scold me for asking my co-worker how much she makes when she made a comment about not getting paid enough. He said it's illegal and super inappropriate. We were teenagers working at a car wash. Literally nobody would care if we discussed our pay, and it's actually, from what I've heard, illegal to try to prevent people from talking about their pay in the US. Yep. Lots of managers don't seem to understand basic employment laws. My current manager tried pulling the "you're not allowed to talk about pay." So I took her back to our break room and showed her the poster that specifically says it is illegal for an employer to dissuade employees from discussing wages. So she switched to saying that it makes things a hostile working environment. Of course I make it a point to discuss my wages with anyone willing, and she hasn't said anything since. I'm just always surprised how managers can completely miss these legal posters that they themselves put up. Asking for help. Going to dinner or a movie alone. Update. Holy shit. Who would have known so many people like being alone? Thanks for the awards and upvotes everyone. I actually look up to people who can go out alone to dinner or a movie. I have no idea, but whenever I go out alone, I get so stressed and anxious. I'm not sure why, because I don't really feel concerned that people are judging me. My best guess is just knowing I don't have someone next to me for support. It would be really nice to be able to go out and feel comfortable alone though. Someday I hope to get past those feelings, and I applaud those who have. I did this a lot when I couldn't find friends who were free. If I went to dinner by myself, I just took my sketchbook and would draw. I'd take up a server's table for a while, but I'd always tip good to compensate. Not being super ambitious about your work career. Yeah, I'm happy just being a cog in the machinery. I earn a decent wage that affords me the things I need and enjoy in life. And I'm in a good rut in my daily routine. No need to exert a lot of energy to change that. Yeah, man. It doesn't mean I am lazy or anything. I am just not super passionate about every single aspect of my job. It's my hobbies that fulfill me, not my job. Defending yourself against a customer who is extremely rude. I didn't know until about a week ago that the saying "the customer is always right" is actually supposed to be "the customer is always right" in matters of taste. If you have a customer that is a duck, it is plenty okay to tell them to duck off. You don't want them as a customer anyways. I just started firing customers from my business a couple years ago, and whatever, firing those 5-10 customers has made me enjoy my job immensely more. One of the nice things about working in hotels is most have a do not rent list. It's just a list of people we've decided we don't want to deal with anymore for one reason or another. Sometimes they're a destructive drunk. Sometimes they're just a dong. Admitting you're wrong. Edit. Since I guess some people aren't understanding. I'm not saying it's a popular belief to be willfully refusing to admit wrongdoing. I'm saying people are too prideful to do so. You don't even have to admit to the person that you are wrong, but admit to yourself and make something out of it. I feel like getting into an argument with someone will lessen the chances of you changing their opinion. Their pride kicks in and suddenly they don't want to change their opinion, only to prove you wrong. On the other hand, if you talk to them calmly and really try to understand why they think that way, you can tackle the problem at its core without them feeling attacked. Being basic in the sense that you have likes and hobbies similar to a group of people. So true. I feel even in the sense of being a basic beach with Starbucks and skinny jeans and Uggs. Just because it's a popular thing and is comfortable doesn't mean it's bad. Popular things are popular for a reason. Disliking your family. If your family always have been a bunch of a-holes to you, what is the sense of even having respect for them? This one hits me for max damage. Glad to hear I'm not alone. Me 3. Toxic is toxic and I'm not having it. Message. That's it. Uncle Roger has started popularizing it. MSG so good. Uncle Roger didn't even take leg off chair. Putting your own happiness before the expectations of your family. Edit. I'm going to clarify that I meant more along the line that you shouldn't allow the expectations from family members like parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, etc. to get in the way of what makes you happy. I kept the comment more open-ended since situations can differ wildly and different people can have different reasons for feeling this way, so I didn't want to be too specific. This issue came up today and I'm glad I've just seen your comment. Almost like it was meant for me. Thank you. I'm glad my comment helped. Whatever the issue is, I wish you luck in it and I wish you a lot of happiness. Disappointing your parents or friends by your life decisions. Usually, they come around in time when they see what you chose is what makes you happy and that is what they really wanted in the end anyway. It can be an uncomfortable wait until that time comes, but it is shorter and feels better than a lifetime of regret. Or not. Some people are narcissistic pieces of shit who will never forgive you for choosing the wrong option. I've heard a bunch of people spouting off recycling isn't worth it. It is even worse for the environment than just throwing it away. This is case of hearing something correct and just blanket applying it to everything. There are certain things that are undeniably better to recycle, specifically metals. And for glass and paper there are ways to make it environmentally positive. Plastics are the hardest due to contamination, but we can make it better as well as reduce single-use plastics. Yes, corporations tricked us into believing recycling was the key to fixing the environment, but that doesn't mean that recycling can't be useful. The slogan reduce, reuse, recycle was very deliberate as they put the best ways to help the environment in the order it's most effective. I really wish I could bring my old plastic takeout containers to my local Chinese place like I take reusable bags to the grocery. I try reusing them but they last forever, so I have way more containers than I would ever use. Being alone. It's far less stressful than having other people around. I wish I was like this, but for me being alone for too long leads me to feeling lonely, depressed and unfulfilled. Anything in excess is detrimental. You have to find a personal balance. Liking vanilla sex. Edit. Thank you kind strangers for the awards, support and words of encouragement in the comments below. Nobody deserves to be shamed based on their personal preferences. I feel the hardest part is squeezing your dong into the little pod without destroying it. You can wrap a few pods around and go to town that way, but it's just not the same. You could go the imitation vanilla flavor route and use a beaver. Gaming for a couple, edit, few hours straight. If you enjoy doing it and don't neglect your life, there really is no difference to binge watching something or reading a book. I never realized how cool video games are until I started dating my BF. He mostly plays story-driven games and they're really fun to watch. They're like interactive movies. My husband and I are both gamers, met in an online game. We prefer PC, but if there's a console game that seems interesting, we build a nest on the floor with blankets and snacks and I'll play while he's watching. Some story games have more than one playable character. Men of Medan, Until Dawn, and we take turns. It's so much fun. Edit, or man. Just woke up lol, thanks guys. Curious children. That's like the best thing for a child to be because they want to learn the facts and form their own opinions. But parents act as if they are like inappropriate or annoying. Curiosity in general, not just in children, is looked down upon, I think. I searched through and didn't see this one, so sorry if it's already included, but not going to college is not a bad thing. I say this with some level of authority on the matter as I am a college professor, full-time, tenured, over a decade into the game. I have seen hundreds of students go to college who have no interest in learning. They go because they are told they have to in order to secure personal success and financial stability. So many of these students fail classes, destroy their GPA, don't graduate, take out a ton of loans, etc. There are so many people with college degrees working in food service, retail, hospitality, etc. And none of them really needed a college degree at all. Yet they have one. They paid a ton for it, and now have to pay all those loans back for something they aren't using. And I get it. No time learning is time wasted. I truly believe that. But you don't need to be in college to learn. If you major in physics but refuse to leave your town of 20,000 people and have no interest in teaching, it doesn't matter if you got a 4.0. You'll be working slinging pizzas regardless. Edit. Thanks for all the awards everyone. I had a really bad day and that has made me smile a bit. I'm a big believer in trade schools and votaches for this. Even if you just do it for a few years while you work your way through college or work on figuring out what you want to be, that's fine. So many schools, school counselors, teachers told us that we were second-hand citizens if we didn't get our degree, that we wouldn't find good jobs, that life would suck. So I got the degree, worked in it for 4 years, hated it and quit, started working in the trades, figured out what I do like and make more now than I ever have. Contentment. I not only don't need an exciting life, I actively don't want one. One of my friends loves to travel and do crazy shit. Scuba diving, swimming with sharks, going on days-long backpacking trips. Not at all for me. She cannot fathom the fact I don't care for travel. Edit. A lot of people are homing in on the travel thing. I'm really just using that as an example of living excitingly. I truly just mean anything that gives off a rush. Not for me. If you are already happy where you are, there's no need to introduce sharks into the mix. Edit. Well, that's a first. Oh man, that's a great reply lol. Breaking tradition. It's important to question why we do things and not just go along with it because it's been like that for years. Peer pressure from dead people. Tradition means giving votes to the most obscure of all classes, our ancestors. It is the democracy of the dead. Tradition refuses to submit to the small and arrogant oligarchy of those who merely happen to be walking about. G.K. Chesterton. Being a virgin. Just because nobody has shoved themselves inside you or you haven't shoved yourself inside someone else doesn't mean you're worth any less as a person. TBH, only toxic people make losing virginity as something important. Only issue is that so many people are toxic. If you're in your 30s and haven't had sex, people assume shit about you, instead of leaving the private matter alone. Using a credit card. If you're sensible and ensure it's paid off at the end of every month, there are many perks, cashback, air miles etc. I'll take things I didn't want to learn or accept until I was 30 for $500. Alex. And building your credit score. Small boobs or medium boobs. Literally no boobs are bad. Are you ashamed of your small boobs? Don't be. Are you a man ashamed of his man boobs? Don't be. Are you ashamed of someone else's boobs? Knock it off. Boobs are great. Boobs make the world go round. Give this man boobs. Give this man boobs. Not being into social media doesn't mean you are behind the times. It's a choice. Edit. Thank you very much, kind strangers, for the upvotes and awards. The first time for me. Glad to know that so many of us deal with the pressures of either not being on certain social media platforms or using it as we see fit, with the strength of making our own decisions and not bowing down to preset norms. Something about people not knowing everything about me and what I'm doing in my life is very peaceful to me. Being single. And being okay with being single and not constantly looking for a relationship. GMO and food. Without GMOs, corn wouldn't be edible. Watermelons would have way less flesh. Bananas would be vastly different. If you hate artificial banana flavor, you'd hate OG bananas. Certain crops would yield far less and would much more susceptible to disease. Livestock would be far more expensive and less available. This could actually be a really good thing in reality, but at the time meat being readily available was a huge game changer. Thank you. Broccoli doesn't even exist in nature. It's a GMO. Yet people don't fearmonger about it because most haven't realized it. The panic around GMOs is based on the appeal to nature fallacy. Edit. Many people have correctly pointed out that broccoli was selectively bred into existence by humans and does not count as genetically modified under most definitions. This article about what counts and what doesn't is really interesting. https://davis-sheen-sus edu/blog honest discussion labeling Moss. Thanks to everyone who corrected me, and I apologize for posting the initial misinformation. Not wanting to have kids. Introducing an entire human life into the world where it heavily depends on you physically, emotionally, and financially for over a decade is a huge deal that people should absolutely put a lot of thought into. Yet many people do it simply because that's just what you do and babies are cute. And then they're constantly complaining about how it's suddenly hard being a parent. Parenthood isn't for everyone. It's a huge decision. People should treat it as such instead of acting like it's a trend. I wish society would quit looking down on those who choose to live a more quiet and stable life instead. According to someone close to me, not having an opinion about something important to them is being rude and inconsiderate. I just think that I don't care about what they care about. It isn't important or offensive to me, so I don't care about it one bit. I'm not sure how to categorize this, but this bugs me about people. My husband and I have talked about this several times. We like to get each other's opinions on things, and sometimes we don't have one because the topic or subject doesn't have any weight, impact, bearing or whatever on the comfort or discomfort or morals of our life. It's like selecting a bottle of water. Take 2 bottles. Same bottle type. Same amount of water. Same price. No difference in taste. Does it really matter which one you get? Wikipedia. Using violence to defend yourself or others. It's sad that it comes to that, but if someone is hell-bent on causing you harm and your only choice is to use violence to stop them, it's not bad. It's sad that if you get into a fight at any school and you defend yourself, you also get in trouble. Being frugal. To a point. I think being able to control spending habits, save money, and being able to assess what items are necessary versus excessive in one's life is often overlooked in a consumerist society. Until this year, I was using my iPhone 4 happily. Friends and family would constantly make jokes about my ancient phone and how I am just too cheap to buy a new one. The truth was that it was still working fine and fulfilling all the needs I had for a phone. So why spend money to replace something that is still working? Note, I am not advocating for the extremes of this like my previous roommate who refused to turn on our AC or heating. It once read 51 degrees Fahrenheit on our thermostat during December. Sticking by your friends and family even when they make mistakes. Relationship advice on Reddit almost always tells you to cut off ties with family, get a divorce or disown your children. It's just not realistic when you can actually work together to strengthen your relationship. Edit. Obviously I do not mean this as a hard and fast rule. Some people deserve to be cut off for being horrible people or doing horrible things. I just think that it shouldn't be the default action for all problems. Nuclear power. Fat in food. Saturated fat is very bad for you, but unsaturated fat is good and you need it in your diet. Crying. Holding it can cause way more harm than do it. Getting a full night's sleep every night and also having a good work-life balance. The two thing not being entirely unconnected. Popping your knuckles. Hayden Christensen's portrayal of Anakin Skywalker. He did a great job with what crappy writing he was given. Receiving a very small tax return. It means you estimated your deductions correctly and you didn't overpay on your taxes. Settling, I put in quotes because it has such a negative connotation. But I went through a very rough divorce and it took me a bit to find someone who felt like they could be a life partner again. Because he is jobless and has no higher education degrees. Though, friends have accused me of settling for him. Well, yeah, I am. I'm settling for contentment and happiness. Why is that bad? Someone else might make you happier. Fulfill your needs better. Maybe. But like, I'm happy where I'm at. Why would I tear all that up because something could be? Being ordinary. Applying for unemployment. Not liking animals. Open bracket. And this is coming from an animal lover. Some people just don't like them for various reasons, and so long as they don't mistreat them, they aren't monsters. Crying. I'm a 6 feet 3 inches 230 pounds construction worker and I cry a couple times a year. There's nothing wrong with letting your emotions out. Death isn't always a bad thing. There's a lot of people who suffer with degenerative illnesses or are in extreme pain every day of their lives. I saw this happen to my granddad after he had a brain tumor. By the end it was for the best that he passed away. Obviously untimely deaths are sad, but sometimes you need to accept that being alive and truly living are two different things. Choosing an unmarried unpartnered life. I truly believe that being in a long-term relationship where you have to live together for life just isn't for everybody. For some, it's better to have a series of long relationships or shorter ones. There are people who want to live together, and some who don't. A life without romance and or sex is just fine for some people. 2. It's true that life alone can be harder, and the way the world is made up, it's mostly so two people can share the load. So you need to be creative or just live with it. As to having children, there are so many ways to be a parent these days. Just being in a single 2-parent unit isn't the only option anymore. You can have a kid on your own, or with other people but not be married to them or even live with them. And you don't have to have 1 or 2 parent families. For some, opting out of the lifelong love roommate path will mean giving up the joy of children and grandchildren. But if they are willing to give that up for the life that fits them better, they shouldn't be shamed for it or feel they need to turn into someone who is anti-child. I'd love to have had children, but it just didn't fit into my lifestyle should be just as acceptable an answer as I would have loved to have had a jet-setting career, but I chose to focus on having a family instead. Not spending the holidays with your family. It's so much less stressful. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.